Hey, friends, and welcome to episode 155 of Meeple to Meeple. It is a true dozen, episode number 12 in my content creator community series. Guys, thanks for joining and on this journey with me. It's been a wild ride so far. My guest today is a dear friend who I've known for several years, who I think it's safe to say has seen me at my best, but has also seen me at my absolute worst. He has seen me at my top of joy and emotional meltdowns. So this is going to be a great conversation. In his social media, he showcases new titles and is constantly reviewing new games. I can't keep up with all the games that he's reviewing. And he has managed to curate a community of inclusivity of every publisher around. He, more than anyone, has his finger on the pulse of this industry. And we're going to dig into how he has built that kind of engagement with publishers and designers and what it takes to create content that actually connects people and why community isn't just a buzzword. It's the entire game at the table. So settle in. Let's jump into it. It's Jerry from Tabletop Worldwide. Jerry, thanks for joining. How are you?
Hi. Great, thanks, and Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. Oh, yeah, today is 12th night. It is January 6th. If you're listening to this on the day that it drops, that means that Christmas is over and Mardi Gras will begin. So what's been going on with you lately? You know, the holidays are pretty much to an end. 2025 is finally behind us.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you need a vacation from your vacation, right? That's been a lot of fun, friends and family and games, which is always fun. Yeah, we're trying to get back into the swing of things now with a new year, and so far so good.
So take a quick look back. Taking a look back, how has 2025? We had a lot of fears like in the middle of it, right? What was going to go on, trades and tariffs, and there's not going to be any games, and people lost their jobs, and so much. You know all this.
Yeah.
How would you rate 2025 in terms of the industry, right?
Well, it was tough. It was really tough. Unfortunately, a few didn't survive it, and I'm not sure that we'll know the full impact of it for quite some time. It's sad to see some publishers go by the wayside through no fault of their own, nothing they did wrong, and yet they have to deal with the circumstances. That's truly terrible. On the other side, we had some really good things happen. We had a
Yeah.
lot of new games come out. We
Yeah.
have new publishers that are popping up all the time. So I like to try to balance some good thoughts with the bad. It was a rough time, but for me personally, it was my first time ever going to PAX Unplugged. So that was a great new experience.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
good and
hit
bad. But yeah,
you hit the trifecta this year, right?
I
Origins,
did.
Gen Con, and PAX Unplugged.
Yeah, this was my first year getting to do all three, and
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that. The good thing about Origins and Gen Con is even though I live all the way down in Atlanta, they are just on the edge of what I'm comfortable driving to. So I can drive to Origins, I can drive to Gen Con. PAX, I have to fly to. There's no way I'm driving 14, 16 hours, whatever it is, to get to
Yeah.
Philadelphia from Atlanta. So I don't know
Oh,
if I'll be able to do that every year just because of the extra expense, but hopefully, because man, being able to hit the trifecta in one year was just,
I
I
think I
love it.
could
And
still see you're on that high coming. You're still on it.
well, it's really great because, for a number of reasons. Number one, we're going to talk a lot about community today, and that is those three big cons. There's a lot of smaller cons that I attend as well. I mean, you and I have both been to Tennessee Game
Yep.
Days a few times, and I go to Tantrum Con and a few other things. But the big ones are always great because that is where you get to see so many of the people
So
that
many.
mostly you only get to talk to online.
Yeah.
You're on chatting with them or sending texts or whatever, but being face to face, across the table from them playing a game or just getting a big bear hug from PJ, whatever it is, it makes the whole thing they're just super extra special.
I think my highlight of our 2025 we saw each other at Tennessee Game Days. We saw each other at Origins and at Gen Con. I think it was that Skull King tournament at Gen Con on that Friday morning.
Yeah, that was
They
great.
so they split us up into two groups of eight, right? Because it's a max player of eight, and you and I couldn't sit any further away from each. It was just kind of like, hey, Jerry.
I was wondering if you planned it that way.
That's not how it worked. But it was really funny, the look on your face when you realized what I was doing, because I couldn't hear the rules and I didn't quite understand. I mean, I knew it was a trick taking game. I understood that. I had decided that the only way for me to learn to play was to just absolutely throw it and lose the game. And the look on your face until you realize what I was doing, you're like, what are you? Because that's so. And I'm like,
I'm like trying to signal you down the table. Wait, no, PJ, no.
that was a
The funny
fantastic
thing
moment.
is if one of the strategies in that game is that you can lose on purpose to
Yeah.
gain more points. And if you had
Yep.
done that, you probably would have won the whole thing.
So what you're telling me is that I did a terrible job at losing. Is
Well, no, you did a fantastic job at losing, but that could have
just
made you a winner, is what I
right.
say.
I didn't lose enough. Hey, speaking of games, let me ask you. This is the question I start all these episodes with, and I honestly don't think I know this. I don't think you and I've ever shared this. What was the first game you ever played as a kid?
As a kid, let's see. Now, but I was on the original game of chess.
Oh, yeah. That was 3,200 years ago, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty good for
Chess.
3,200, though, don't you think?
You look great. We have to talk about
Uh,
your skin routine after
right? I
this,
mean,
right?
no, I'm trying to think. My parents had some of the classics. We had Monopoly, we had Sorry, we had all of the old school classics that you probably couldn't pay me to play now.
Yeah. Yep.
Which, hey, look, if you're a person that likes those games, no insult to
Absolutely.
you. Absolutely. I just, I have played those games specifically because they're all we had growing up
Right.
so many times.
Right.
And now I know what's out there now. So it's like, I can't even, no. But yeah, I think, back when I was a kid, probably a lot of those classics, like Boggle was one that we played a lot because my mom loved word games.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of that. And we played a lot of card games too,
Okay.
Rummy and
Yep.
stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I grew up.
So trick taking games just come naturally to you,
Honestly, spades, when we learned spades, holy moly, we played spades like there was no other game on earth. And if we didn't play 20 times a day, we might starve. We
Yep.
we played spades
Yep.
like crazy people, I think. And we would have people over and we would have like little mini tournaments of spades. And yeah, that game was yeah. So I did a
So
lot of
good.
trick taking growing up.
So good. And there's been a trend. I know you know this. Been a trend of a lot of trick taking games lately.
I really have.
Yeah.
And and a lot of what I never thought would have even been possible in cooperative trick taking games,
Right?
which I couldn't have even imagined. Like when I first heard of like the crew, and there's probably ones before that, but that was the big one that first caught my attention anyway, as far as cooperative trick taking goes. And I thought, how in the world can you cooperatively take?
Right.
Like I didn't even understood how that.
I know.
But man, did it work, right? Like the crew, we had the best time
So
with, and there's
good.
been so many since then. I mean, most recently for me, the Office Dog game, the Lord of the Rings trick taking game,
Yep.
so good.
Yes.
So you're actually playing a cooperative trick taking story, which
Yes.
is
Yes.
amazing.
So
I
good.
love Office Dog.
You and I were talking about that at Tennessee Game Days. You were telling me about the game, and then because of the local game group that I have here in Springfield, either don't like or don't want to play Trick Taker, so it was kind of like I
Mhm.
can't play it. I will tell you this though, I did get a chance to play it when I was in I was in Anaheim at the end of August, and I got to get together with Jen and Raleigh, board for two,
Right?
and we went to a local board game cafe.
Nice.
So shout out to them. And they brought along the Lord of the Rings Trick Take. Dude, that game
Isn't it
is
good?
is
Isn't it
so
good?
good. So good.
right? And so now the new one, I guess the second chapter,
Yeah.
the Two Towers one. I want to play the whole thing. Why can't they
Mm,
just release them all at once? I want to play
I
the whole
know.
thing.
I know. But to see, that's how they get you, Jerry.
I know. I know. You're right. And they do. I mean,
Yep.
I am totally got.
So, do you got a favorite player color?
I always play green now, and it didn't used to be that way. I used to always play red because if you know me at
That's what I
all,
thought. Yeah.
yeah, if you know me at all outside of the board gaming world, I'm a graduate of the University of Georgia. I'm a huge Georgia Bulldogs fan. And because of that, I would always try to play with the red meeple. Well, as my son grew up and started playing games with me, well, he wanted to be the red meeple because,
Of
he's a Georgia
course.
fan too. And, try to be a good dad and encourage them to play games. I let him have the red meeple. And so I just always started playing with green. And
Green.
now that my oldest is now at college himself, so he's out of the
Oh.
house, but I just still keep playing green. I've gotten used to it now.
Did he go to Georgia?
He is actually at Kennesaw State,
Okay.
which is a college just on the northwestern side of Atlanta. I'm
Yep.
loving it over there. Yeah,
For those of you keeping score, there's no rivalry. So that is a perfectly acceptable school for Jerry's son to go
that's
to.
right. That's right. And he's still a huge George fan, even though he's
Yeah.
going to Kennesaw State. So,
That's never going to change.
yeah, yeah.
That's not going to change. I don't, even if I didn't go to LSU, I would be an LSU fan simply by virtue of that's part of the cultural DNA. You know
Oh
how
yeah.
that is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely.
You know that,
It's
which is
really
why I
funny
play
because
purple.
there's
So,
not a lot, and we should probably move on because I don't want you to lose viewers, but there's not a lot of crossover, it seems like with me between, being fans of college football or the NFL and being huge board gamers, which makes me really sad. But everyone that I game with here is both. So
right.
it is awesome because we can play games and talk football at the same time, and it's just a perfect combination. But
I think it's the sport. Because here in the Midwest, what I'm experiencing is they all care about baseball,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
And Springfield is in the middle of St. Louis and Chicago. So it's like the Cardinals and the Cubs. And every board gamer here in the Midwest are also, not everyone, but a lot of them are all baseball fans. So
yeah.
I think it's just the sport of choice, you know?
I've been fortunate enough to go to Wrigley Field a couple of times when I've been in Chicago on business trips, and man, I mean that the whole aura of that
Yep.
place. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, before we lose too many more viewers,
Right. Okay. So here comes the two-part question that I've been asking everyone. And the reason why it's two parts, I think this will be the last time I say this. I'm not going to explain it anymore, but I've explained it 12 times now. The reason it's got two parts is because I have love and compassion for you, and people find the first part to be rather difficult. Part 1, do you have a favorite board game of all time?
I
Difficult
do.
question.
That is like, oh, sorry. Did you want to go?
I do. Let me tell you part
Okay.
2. If you don't have an answer to part 1, because I realize it's a challenge, part 2 is where the compassion comes in. Do you have a favorite board game right now that's hitting your table all the time?
Okay. All right. So the answer to part one is I don't think I have one favorite game. I have a group of games that if I had to cull down to like 10 games, I could probably nail the 10 games. But
Okay.
I don't really just have one that jumps immediate. Now, I can do this. I can tell you what my like favorite game of 2025 was, my favorite game of 2024
Mm.
was, if you're interested in that. But like one for all time, I don't think
You,
I do.
we're going to pivot.
Okay.
Since it's the new year, let's quickly look back at 2025. That's perfectly natural. What was your favorite game of 2025?
So my favorite game of 2025, I don't know if a lot of people will say this. It's not that it's like an obscure game, but it
Yeah.
wasn't one that just was like bam in your face all the time, that everyone was featuring constantly. But my favorite game of 2025 was from Capstone Games, and that was Galileo Galilei. Love,
Yes.
love that game so much. My wheelhouse is, mid Euro type games. I love everything about what they did with that game. It is so good. And that designer, I mean, talk about coming out of nowhere and hitting grand slam after grand slam after grand slam. I mean, the same guy that did SETI, same guy that did Tea Garden. I mean, like, okay, guy, you know?
Yeah. Yep. So I met Tomas Holek at the Capstone Games booth. He was signing copies of Galileo at Gen Con. I had forgotten to I wanted to bring my rule book or something because I already own the game to have him sign it, but I forgot. But it was more important that I give him my business card and tell him about the podcast because I really want him on the show.
Nice.
And so I did. I
And did you
walked up.
swing that? Did you get
Well,
it?
I got face to face with him and I got to talk to him for a few minutes. And the look on his face suggested he had no idea who I was and what I was talking about. I suspect I made a fool of myself, but you know what?
No.
That's okay. I haven't heard from him since, but
Well,
I
he doesn't know what he's missing out on.
no, I shook the hand that designed Galileo Galilei. That's a good choice.
Yeah,
That is a good.
golly, what a game. It's
Yeah.
beautiful on the table. When it looks as good as it plays and it plays that good, like it just, wow.
Yep.
If you guys have not tried it, go try it. Recommendation.
You got to do it. You've got to do it. That's great. So you said that you didn't have a favorite of all time, but you kind of have a top 10. So I think that lends the next question. Do you have a favorite board game mechanic that you absolutely love despite the theme?
I have two, if that's okay.
It is perfect because everyone else has two. That seems to be the consensus.
I absolutely love worker placement games. It did take me about 6 months to realize that it's not work replacement. It is worker placement. Hey, you got to learn sometime, right?
Yes.
When I was first playing, what was really funny is when I was first playing and learning about all the different mechanics as I was kind of getting into this whole world, I told one of my friends, or I think I asked him, "Hey, do you have any worker placement games?" He's like, "Worker placement? You mean playing a game instead of going to work? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Am I not saying that right?" No, I was not saying that right. But yes, worker placement games, probably my number one mechanic, but a close number two, if not tied. I love deck builders. Deck builders, bag builders, mostly deck builders, but games like Quacks of Quedlinburg, I also really like that one.
Good. So good.
But yeah, I love deck builders. I think if one of my very, very good friends of gaming would absolutely slay me if I didn't mention Dominion as the greatest deck builder of all time. That is his favorite game, and not only that, he is someone that I got to go to Gen Con with me one year, and he's since come back and taken his family, and has twice won at least one of the Dominion tournaments at Gen Con. 2 different years he's won.
Get out of here! That's awesome.
Yeah. So if I don't mention Dominion when I'm mentioning deck builders, he would kill me. There you go.
Hey, so tell me, what is it about worker placement games that you enjoy? You did say it was kind of your number one.
Yeah, it is. One of the first games that still lives in those final 10 that if I had to cull down to 10 games, is a game called Champions of Midgard. And I love that game so much. I could play that game. Insert large number here. I could play it a lot.
Right.
And so it was one of the first worker placement games that I played, and the whole concept of being able to, when you're moving into the game when you're moving into the world of modern board games, and your whole upbringing rather was roll dice and move a piece down the board. To be able to tell me you can take that piece now and put it anywhere you want to and take whatever action you want to.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes, please. Let's do that.
Yes.
So, I just love it. And then, like I said, playing the Champions of Midgard early on in my modern board gaming, I just cemented that as just being, I love that mechanic.
What's your take on what do they call it? Dice placement.
Dice placement?
Worker dice placement games,
yeah,
right?
I don't like it as much as
Okay.
traditional worker
Okay.
placement because it feels like, a lot of times it feels like, well, you roll and then based on your roll, you have to choose from a more limited selection
Sure.
because, fours can only go here, here, here. It's okay. I've played some games like that. Shoot, I can't find it. You might have to cut and edit here a little
That's okay.
bit. uh, the directional games from, like Raiders of the North Sea and that, but the newer ones, the
Garfield games.
Garful games, something of the type. I can't remember the name of the game now, but it is all about dice placement, and it's it's fine. Like
Hmm.
I don't dislike the game. I would maybe choose something else with a more pure worker placement
So
mechanic.
You like the West Kingdom trilogy.
Love
Yeah.
those games,
Yeah.
and I love Raiders of the North Sea is also from the ones before the Western Kingdoms. But I mean, gosh, they can hardly do any wrong either, right? Like they just keep
Yeah.
putting out hit after hit after hit. So
I will say there's one game that it's the is it the Age of Atlantis? So it's an interesting board. First of all, it's a circular board, which I didn't know that was like a thing, and I love it. I'm here for circular boards.
yeah.
So your Atlantis, your workers are dice, but instead of having pips on the dice, it's like a worker icon, and you can like they can take a rest action, and that lets you turn it to a different side, which then makes it a stronger worker. So it's kind of interesting. In worker placement games, you place a worker, you get the resource, and
Hmm.
either that worker is stuck until the end of the round, or it's stuck until somebody kicks him out, or whatever. What I find interesting is you place this worker and you get, let's say you get double the resources in that space. If you leave it there, you can turn the pip down and you'll get single so it's like, even though I can't bring him back to place in
Hmm.
next round, he's still producing for me. He's still working. It's kind of
Nice.
an interesting mechanic that I'm
Yeah.
not seeing in dice placement games. That's kind of cool. Age of Atlantis, guys, check that out if you want. And if not, that's okay
Sounds
too.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting to me how it seems like, in its purest form, there are only like 8 or 10 or 12 mechanics out there, but people are finding now ways to tweak those mechanics. Like it used to be, trick taking. Now it's cooperative trick taking. It
Yeah.
used to be only worker placement. Now it's dice placement. And like they're finding ways to reinvigorate some of
Yeah.
these, old school mechanics. And
Yes.
I love it. I think it's fantastic.
I'm totally here for it. Hey, what's your take on, still talking about worker placement, is Rock Hard 1977? I had Jockey Fox on about 13 weeks ago. She talked about the game. What's your take on that?
Played it.
You haven't played yet. Okay. So, well, then good. I will tell you about it. So here's why I like it. It's a worker placement, and you only have one worker, and that worker is you. So
Okay.
you know the game. I know you know the game, so the concept's really easy. But the board, and I would recommend, guys, if you want to know more about Rock Hard 1977, go back to episode 143, just before the content creator series started, and we had Jackie Fox talk all about it. Listen to her talk about negotiating contracts with a publisher. That was some intense. I didn't know we were going there, but we went there. So the board is divided into daytime actions, evening actions, and after hours. So you can only take one action per phase, but you also have a job. So you have to go to work.
Mm.
So you could skip work 3 times before you lose your job. Ultimately, you want to lose your job, but it's like you only have this one worker. So just like, it really mimics real life. You're a musician trying to make it big and get gigs and get a manager and record a demo, and you got to do all these really cool things. But it's like, I've never seen a game where you only had one worker.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you're gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
It's
I've played some games where you've had like maybe only two or three, but
right.
one at a time is very interesting. Huh.
Yes. Just recently, Speakeasy by Vital Lacerda arrived at our doorstep. Here's a worker placement where you start with 4, and then you have 3, and then you have 3 again, and then you have 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get fewer rather than more, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
It's, yeah. Again, this is your point. is people are taking pre-existing mechanics and tweaking them ever so
Yeah.
slightly.
And it's
Yeah,
great. It just breathes new life into, and anytime you can breathe new life into the industry, hey, let's do it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So tell me about, because you've been at this quite a while. Tell me about the time. So you get into the, you get, you grew up in the classics. You are introduced to the modern board game hobby. And at some point, you cease to be just a casual gamer to becoming an intentional content creator. Tell me about that shift.
It's very interesting that you phrased it that way because, first of all, I stumbled into modern board gaming almost accidentally. I mean, I'll tell you about that real quick
Yeah.
if that's
No,
okay.
absolutely.
So my mom, before she passed, moved in with us, and so she loves games, and so I didn't want to bring out all the old ones again. So I was trying to think of, well, what kind of new games are out there? What can I do? I started watching this web series that Will Wheaton, the actor, used to do called Tabletop. He would have, celebrities on to play different board games, and I found those interesting. And then I just was scrolling through Facebook one day and I saw two different families that I knew through another hobby, geocaching, that we had already hung out doing that hobby. They had taken pictures and posted some of them sitting around playing board games, and I was like, that looks
Okay.
really interesting. So, I messaged the guy and I said, hey, just saw you guys start playing some board games. Next time you guys get together, hey, invite me. I'd love to come and kind of sit in and see what this is all about. And so just stumbling through on Facebook and having, my mom move in with us, it sort of happened like almost serendipitously. I don't know.
Right.
So we started playing games. I started getting new games in, and I still had absolutely no intention of becoming a content creator. That I mean, it wasn't even in my brain. It was just like, hey, what can I do for some good family time? And then COVID came, and horrible time. Everybody's trapped in their houses. Everybody's just trying to do whatever they can to just get through the situation. For us, we started playing even more board games. Like, we had been doing a lot of different kinds of family stuff, going out and doing stuff. Now it was like board games, board games, board games. And I just started posting some out on Instagram, not even trying to do anything, just like, oh, here's what we did tonight, friends and whatever. Started getting a few more followers and started getting people asking me, hey, I saw this game. What is it?
Uh-huh.
And so my son said, Dad, you should try to do this. And kind of suggested it. And I was like, I mean, I guess I could. We're all stuck at home. Nobody's really going out and doing anything. I mean,
Right.
why not? I'll just start. And he goes, the first thing you need to do is you need a good name. And I'm like, hadn't even thought of a name because, again, this was not even processing for me as a possibility. And he said, we're stuck in this house, but you want to let everybody in the world know that you're trying to share games with them. So you need a name like Tabletop Worldwide. And boom, that was it. He named it.
There it is.
So my oldest son named, my brand, my platform, when he was probably 12. Well, maybe he's a little older, but sometime around 13 years old. He was like, here's what you need, Dad. And I'm like, hey, all right, let's go. And so from then on, I threw Tabletop Worldwide out there, and it just grew. People love board games. What can I say?
Yeah. That's it.
So yeah, it was very, very much not intentional. And so moving to intentional, which was, I guess, looping back to what your original question was just the fact that, we're all stuck indoors. We're all needed to try to come up with something to, entertain ourselves while we're trying to get through this whole horrible crisis that we were in. And that's what he and I kind of came up with together. And I just took it and ran with it. And I kind of have this obsessive compulsive personality that when I get something that I really like, I just dive in and I just hammer, 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 grind, 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 and been doing it ever since. And
Hey,
I love it. I love it. I love it.
tell me about the first review copy of a board game you ever received. If you remember, because I know there's a lot of them.
Well, so what I remember is the first one I ever did was actually a prototype print and play,
Okay.
um, of a game that was going to be physical, but ironically enough, never came out. But what makes it really cool is I was doing this and I had considered the possibility once I dove in about possibly being able to get review copies from publishers. My first goal as a content creator was, can I actually get someone to send me a game? That would be so cool if I could actually do that. So the first thing I did was somehow I got a person who was building a prototype of a game contacted me through DMing through Instagram and said, "Hey, would you be interested in trying out this game?" And I thought, absolutely, let's go. This is what I'm here for. So I printed it out. It was like this multi-sheet. I built and I laminated it. I put it on a cardboard that I had cut out from a giant box, and so I had my. I mean, I was
You
going.
were
I mean, I was
ready.
so into this. I right around that time, I got to some milestone. I think it was maybe 500 followers at the time because this was really, really early. And the guy contacted me and said, "Hey, I noticed, you're hitting a milestone. You're kind of getting a few hundred followers now. Do you need a logo?" And the guy that had reached out to me for my very first, even print and play version of a prototype game, built me the logo for free that I still use today.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think it's classic. I think it shows the world. It shows
Mhm.
a diversity of different colors, and it also represents at the same time. There's four different meeples above a globe, and there are me, my wife, and my two kids. So it
Yeah.
also represents our family at the
See
same
that?
time.
Look at that.
So
That's great.
yeah. So I wanted to put it out there. I wanted to let people know, hey, we're here for the whole world. We want a diversity of people within our group. Everyone's welcome. And at the same time, here's my family out here bringing this stuff to you, and we hope you like it.
So at some point, though, you began, and I mentioned this in the introduction, because you have managed to curate and cultivate this community of designers and publishers. If there's a board game publisher, a minimum of one person, right? Like I want people to know this about you is if you want to make connections and if you need to know, well, who do I contact at, you know, whatever, Ivy Studios. Who do I contact for Asmodee? Who do I contact for Wonderful World Board Games? Jerry knows the contact. And it's not like Jerry just knows the person's name. He has a relationship with these contacts. You have managed to do this over 5, 6 years. And I mean, it's incredible, you know?
Thank you. It's
So,
a it was a lot of hard work. I mentioned how nowadays it seems like when I go to conventions, I don't even see a whole lot of the exhibit floor. I go to Gen Con and I'm like, I really need to carve out some time to just walk through all of these booths because I have a calendar, and it's back to back to back to back meetings because conventions are just great ways to make those face-to-face connections, right? For one thing, after hours and before the convention starts, it's an amazing time to be with other creators and talk and hang out and play games with people that you don't normally see face to face very often. And then during the convention hours themselves, I try to make that same connection with publishers. And I don't know everyone. I appreciate that. I wish I did.
well,
There's still a couple of publishers that I really, really
I
want
mean,
to get in with. But I mean, for the
it's
most part,
close. It's kind of close.
I do still now. I also have some favorites of those, but I'm not going to mention those
True.
because I don't want
We
to.
don't want to. We don't want to. No, we don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. There are I will, but there are like with games themselves, there are some publishers that are, I guess, more receptive and easier to get along with and easier to
Hmm.
talk to,
Sure.
and there are some that are not, and that's fine. Number one, it's a business, and they have to
Right.
worry about their business before anything else, and I
That's
get
true.
that, and it's hard to understand a lot of times when you get no's from publishers that it's rarely, I won't say never, but it's rarely personal. They are doing what they think is in the best interest of their business, and especially with the tough times that we talked about, with all the tariffs and with everything being so expensive for publishers now, that affects us as content creators as well because there's not going to be as many review copies, there's not going to be as many opportunities because they're having to deal with all the stuff they're dealing with. I
How
think I went off down a rabbit hole from what you were going
no,
at.
Nope. No. How has that impacted your productivity? See, I'm trying not to make it sound like a job. How
Well,
has
it's funny though, because looking in from the outside, someone might think it's a
Mhm.
job because I work really hard. Now, oh, you poor guy, you're playing a bunch of board games. But I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it.
Yep.
You spend a lot of time, researching titles. You spend a lot of time, writing and editing. You spend a lot of time, especially if you're doing video content like you're doing
Mm.
constantly. I mean, video editing takes forever. And I am, at this point, I have not, and I keep saying I'm eventually going to move into YouTube, and I still have not taken that plunge. I really want to. But I am doing a lot of like preview reels and TikToks and
Mhm.
short form videos for publishers now. And even just doing that, I mean, the editing time on those is crazy. So I can't even imagine, what people like you and Adam from Tabletop Vibes, with your full on YouTube channels. I can't even imagine what you guys are going through on that.
So it's really been interesting since this series started with the conversation with Bonds. I've had the conversation with everyone about the effort of long form versus short form. And yes, it takes a lot. You and I will talk for an hour and record this. I will spend 3 to 6 hours
Oh
editing
yeah,
this,
I'm
right?
sure. I'm sure.
But and I think you know this because you're kind of a guru at the short form because that's your wheelhouse, right? That is the content you create is short form content. Talk about how much work that takes.
It really is. And I don't even realize it myself sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because I will sit down and I will shoot for a 60-second video. I might shoot 10 minutes worth of material, and then you've got to narrow all of that down to exactly what you want. You do multiple shoots for different, but what I do is a little bit different than you. And I don't envy at all the 6 hours that you're putting into editing all of these videos that you do. But I do a lot of comedic
Yeah.
stuff in mind.
Oh yeah.
So trying to find, okay, how can I make this line up right? I got to make this line hit in a certain way. I've got to make sure the music in the background is right to kind of pep up what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll put in video effects. I'm actually back in, what was it? Towards the end of October of last year, I was working on a video for a game called Dicey Devices. And in that, I had, laser beams coming out of people's eyes, and I had like all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I start working on that, and this is a 60-second video, and I will sit down at like 8 o'clock, and like, no kidding, I'm like 10:30, 11 o'clock. I'm going, oh gosh, I really need to wrap this up. I can't believe I just spent 2.5 hours on a 60
Right.
second video. This is insane. So, but it's fun. I enjoy doing it, and I get
Right.
lost in it. And
Yep.
that's what makes it so great. Is oh my gosh, you spent 2 hours on a 60-second video. Yeah, but it was so fun because I'm like, oh, this is really going to make people laugh, or oh, people are going to get shocked when they see this, and kind of building that
Yep.
anticipation
Yeah.
is so fun. It's so
Yes.
fun. So I really enjoy
I had
that.
a similar conversation with Grant Lyon when he was on this series earlier this year, or I guess last year, as it were. We talked a lot about the delivery for creating. I mean, obviously his
Yes,
primary career is a comedian, and then
right,
gaming is second.
right.
But um, we talked about cultivating the skill, like you're cultivating the skills of short form content. You're cultivating the comedy. Whereas I never cultivated that. Even as a child, I cultivated a more serious, analytical, more humanistic. I don't know what you want to call this, but it's like, me though, it's about the human
Sure.
connection.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I live in the long form.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the rest of the world doesn't want long form. So there you go.
You'd be surprised how many people don't even want 60 seconds. I mean, it's
I know when I create a 20-second when I create a 20-second short for YouTube to advertise this episode,
yeah,
the minimum view time is like 8 to 10 seconds, and I'm like, wow,
right?
I don't know what I can say in eight
Yeah.
seconds. You know?
I'm starting to spend even more time like researching, like, okay, you know, what kind of hook can I put in at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the video?
Yes.
All these different methods to try to like hold that attention
Oh yeah.
span because people are used to, swipe, 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 swipe. What makes somebody stop? What makes them stop swiping? If we learned that, we'd be millionaires,
I
right?
know. We would. We would. Everyone keeps telling me that the thumbnail is really important. And so, for those devoted followers who are to my YouTube channel, you see the thumbnails for each episode, and it's going to be a picture of me and my guest. That's
Mm.
the problem, though. People want to swipe on this face.
This
They're
ain't gonna
like,
help you, buddy. I'm sorry. This ain't gonna help you.
so I'm relying on my Spotify listeners who don't consume the video. So,
Well, you
so
you gotta
I know.
you got it doubly bad this week.
No. So let's go back to when you started making content. Your son's like Tabletop Worldwide, Dad, and you got a logo. Were there any content creators in your research that like inspired you? Was there someone that you were like, this is what I wanted?
That is a great question. Is it supremely like arrogant to say no? I
Yes.
don't. Okay. Honestly, though, the thing that inspired me, or I don't know if inspired is the right word. The thing I guess that kept me from feeling like, A, this is a job, B, that I don't want to just get discouraged is I decided early on, I'm going to do what I do. And if they like it, great. And if they don't, that's fine too. I'm not going to try to imitate somebody else. I'm not going to try to go, this person is doing this. Let me do that. I'm just going to do what I enjoy doing and I'm going to put it out there. And I mean, it's been a slow burn, right? Like I'm not one of those people that went from, 0 to 8,000 in 6 months. It like
Yep.
took me 6+ years. I started really towards the end of 2019, right before COVID, and then COVID kind of like what really got me started. But now we're in 2026. So it's been 6 years. It's not, it's a slow burn and it's been a lot of hard work. Now I've enjoyed it. But early on, it was just me saying, I'm going to do my thing. I hope people like it. I don't necessarily think they're going to like it. I'm not arrogant enough to go, hey, whatever I do is going to be awesome. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not going to let myself get discouraged as I'm building. I'm just going to do what I do. And then, slowly I've morphed into maybe more, I guess, mainstream contemporary. Here are my reviews. Here are my suggestions. Here's a funny reel. But I'll say this. I really, really liked some of the people that were like the bigger hosts of huge channels I mean, Rodney's amazing. But what Rodney Smith does is how to play videos. And I've never been a how to play video guy. I really admired him though because of the almost like you could reach out into the TV or your phone or whatever and shake hands with him because he's so personable and he's so, making you feel welcome and making you feel like, hey, this isn't me being your teacher. This is your buddy sitting at the table with you trying to teach you a game. And so I did really look at people like that to say, okay, how can I make myself seem like I'm not showing you this, I'm sharing this with you,
Mm.
right? Like make that connection, right? Because there's a huge difference between displaying a game and saying, hey, buddy, let me come over here and sit you down at my table and share this game with you and show
Yeah.
you why this is so cool.
Absolutely. Total difference. Total difference.
Right, right. So I did look at people like that, and I mentioned I'd watched the web series from Will Wheaton when he sat down with people, and even though it was him as a somewhat of a celebrity sitting with other well known people at a table, it still felt like it was just a group of guys that you knew from across town that you hung out with sometimes, and you could sit down and play a game together. So I did look up to people like that who knew how to make that connection because I think more than anything, building a community of people that you're connected with and not just that you're trying to sit at the top of some ivory tower and
Right.
throwing down bread to the masses or something like
Yeah.
that. But I think that's really important. So I did admire people that seem to be able to do that with just like no effort. And I know it's a lot of effort for them,
Right.
but the way it comes across is that it's
Yep.
all like it's so natural.
I will say though that the view from the third floor window of that ivory tower is not bad. So I can only
Okay.
imagine. I can imagine what it's like for those guys at the top. That's right. I am third floor Steve. That's me. Oh
No,
my
but
gosh.
I didn't want to make it sound like I didn't think there's anybody out there that was
No, I
important,
right.
as I was coming up. It was more of maybe a coping or defense mechanism for myself, as in like, well,
Okay.
if I don't care what people think, then I won't feel rejected, that
I'm
kind of thing.
sure there's a little bit
Which
of
I know that is probably not healthy attitude at all, but at the same time, it does allow you to put out there what you want to put out there, not what you think people want you to put out there.
right. Absolutely. You've definitely been true to yourself, consistent, committed. These are the type of adjectives I've heard just people describing you and your content throughout the years.
Wow.
You know, you are very, I can count on you. I was trying to find a single adjective, but because it's not accountable, but I can count on you and I can count on your content. If I want to know about a game, one of the things I struggle with is everyone, especially with the cult of the new right now, um, you see like a million photographs of the same game. They don't really tell me anything about the game.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, did Jerry did he post anything about Galileo? Did he? Because at least he's going to tell me
Yeah.
what to expect from the game. I can count on that. And then if Jerry said the game is good and he describes the game, now I really want it. I'm going to go to Rodney and he's going to teach it to me.
There you go.
Right?
1-2 punch, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it
I,
works.
I will say I have been guilty of posting, like mail day pics where I'm really excited about a game that just showed up. And so I'm like, here's this game, and I don't really have a lot of information about it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited about it that I just want to let people know. It's kind of my way of like doing a teaser post almost. Like, here's this awesome game. I'm gonna be bringing you more about it, I promise. So watch out for it. But I'm excited about it.
And I have the luxury of, and I hope that people are listening so that they know this about you as well. I have the luxury of having a long time friendship with you so that I know when you post those, I can tell the difference in your content. Oh, Jerry just got it and he's excited. I'll wait a few weeks and he's going to tell me why. And then I will know, because I can rely on you to do that, to create the content, to not only share and connect, but also to inform, because there's a lot of games out there and I
There are.
can't play them all. So I need to
Right.
know which ones,
I wish I could remember. I saw some crazy statistics one time, and golly, I really wish I could remember exactly what they were. But it was like 1,000 new games come out every year, and if you play a new game every single week, you've played 52 of 1,000, and every year there's another 1,000. And every year you might only play 50 more. And I know there's people out there that play 300, 400 new games a year. Great if you can do it. I can't. I wish I could. But you know, and on top of that, if you're playing a new game every week, how many of your games that you love are you not getting to replay?
right. Absolutely.
So I know you and your wife try to play through your collection every year, right? So
Yep.
and I admire
Yeah.
that so much about you. My wife one time told me, I asked her, hey honey, I appreciate you playing all these games with me. What's been your favorite game? And she says anything we get to play twice. So
I understand that. I understand that. I have felt that way in our local game group years past. So, yeah,
yeah.
I can get that. I can get that. Yeah. So, I think I know the answer, but you have become multifaceted. Do you have a favorite or a preference platform you like to post the majority of your content to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Mr. Instagram. I kind of have been from the start. I'm on TikTok as well, and love all the people that I interact with over there as well. But I don't post as many videos to be as consistent as I need
Mm.
to be as successful on TikTok. So my main platform is Instagram. I want to go on YouTube. I really want to.
So, you
Video
want to
editing. I mean, I don't want to like
it's
rebeat the same horse, but it
but
is
I
it.
I know.
I can do a review on Instagram, post 10 or 12 carousel pics, write a review, and I can be done with it in an hour and a half. You shoot a YouTube video. I mean, before you even get to editing, you were shooting forever content because you gotta make sure you get what you need to get, and that means usually multiple takes on things, and then you've got to edit all that stuff down. Whew, it's a lot.
It
It's a
is
lot.
it is a lot of work. It is definitely a lot of
Yeah,
work.
I
And
admire you. I admire you and
and
all and everyone that does that. That's amazing.
look, so let's talking about platforms that we want to join. You want to join YouTube? I want to get on Twitch, man. But live streaming terrifies me to death.
Yeah,
Because
I'm with you on that. I'm really not good at talking by myself, which is another reason why I think I've had trouble, trying to enter the YouTube platform is because, maybe if I have a teleprompter and I'm reading off a review that I've already written for Instagram and pretending like I'm saying it to you, I don't know, maybe, but just talking, I so admire the people that can do that. I mean, there's a lot of really amazing people on YouTube that are brilliant at that. And I know they spend a lot of time into, scripting things out. And, I know it's not all, just free form off the top of their head, but they do a lot of it and they're really good at it. And I am
a
so
lot.
jealous of people that can do that. That is amazing to me.
I absolutely agree with you. One thing that this series has taught me, connecting with so many of my guests who are really active on Twitch, I thought Twitch was for video gamers. Nope, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, Bonds does so much, right? She does video games,
Hmm.
but she'll also do live streams of playing a board game.
Hmm.
So now you want to talk about editing. Let's talk about a camera looking at me, but then I got a camera on top of my table doing that. And then I'm gonna need multiple ay ay ay. It's
You got to have your live chat going. You got
yeah,
to.
it's
Yeah.
scary. It is
Yeah.
scary. Now I know that Bonds and Amanda Panda, who's also been on the show, they're both gonna be like, PJ, you can just do it, right? I think that was their advice. That was their advice. Just do it. Which brings me
Yeah.
to my next question for you. And I've been asking this of everybody. What advice do you have for someone who's like, hey, you know what, Jerry? I've been playing board games with, let's say, a local guy in your game group. Hey, I want to start making content too and getting some review copies and stuff. What advice do you have to anyone who wants to get into this
Don't
wonderful
do it. No, I'm
world?
kidding. No, I would say the most important thing, at least for me, and I think a lot of people would have this advice, is keep doing what you like doing. Whatever content you put out there, make it stuff that you enjoy. If you go into this trying to please other people, you're going to make yourself miserable. I mean, that is the number one thing that I can say to you
Yeah.
is make yourself happy. And if you're happy, that joy will be contagious.
Wow. That was well said.
Thank you.
That
that's
was,
that's really honestly the best piece of advice I can give.
I got to tell you, I've heard some really great throughout this series. The answer to that question just kind of, man, I tell you what, this is why I love this community so much. Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
So, speaking of loving the community, because as we're getting to the end, everyone's used to these two questions. The first question is, so what is it that, to your mind, the community does really well that you're so proud to be a part of?
I think the community is really, really good at being inclusive, and that is so important. I think this community, um, in addition to being inclusive and making sure that people feel like they're always welcome, I feel so little toxicity in the board game community. Now, I'm not going to say it's not there at all. Obviously, there are specific situations, but in general, the board game community and content creators within the community, I mean, it's like we're all a team. We're all supporting each other rather than competing with each other. And I love that so much. And that is really kind of probably what's kept me in the game as long as I have been without, having to take a break to go, I just need to get away from this environment for a while. I don't need to get away from an environment that's super supportive. I don't need to get away from an environment that's super inclusive. I love that. People thrive in that. And that just makes me love this community and be so proud to be a part of it is those two things.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that that's the common thread. Everyone seems to say it's some version of that, but I definitely like the way you put that. That's really good. On the flip side, is there something that you've seen that maybe the community needs to do better at? Right? Here's a moment for fraternal correction.
Hmm. Wow, this is a tough one. The things that I would normally answer are things that I feel like our community does well. Like I feel like, man, I really wish people were more accepting. Man, I really wish people were more, supportive. Man, I really, but we are those things. I guess if anything, I would say don't judge people by what they like. If they like playing Monopoly, don't criticize. You can criticize Monopoly without criticizing people that like Monopoly. I don't love Monopoly, but if you like Monopoly, great, be fantastic. And I think that applies, maybe even more to people who are like, oh, why do you like that? It's Cult in the New. Oh, why don't you like any new games? On both sides of that, coin is people that are like, well, I'm not going to like that game because it was made in the last year, so it can't be any good. Like my old game from 1975, this is a classic. It'll always be the best. Well, yeah, it probably is really good. That's probably why it's been
Yeah.
popular since 1975. But it doesn't mean anything new can't be. Same time, if you're only playing new games, if you're only playing new releases, if you never allow yourself to go back and enjoy viticulture, which viticulture isn't exactly ancient, but I mean, it's been around for a while. You don't really see a lot of content about it now because it's not a new game. I think maybe what our community could do more of is featuring games that are classic games. Let people know that, hey, there's a lot of new releases coming out, and we're going to talk about all these new releases. But man, have you ever played viticulture? Because maybe you're brand new to the hobby. You just come in the last year or two. You don't realize how good viticulture is. You don't
Mm-hmm.
realize how good Wingspan is, that's been around for 3 or 4 years now. If you're brand new to the hobby, um, I think we could probably do a better job of not just featuring brand new games all the time and saying, hey, let me show you what the foundation that brought you to where we are today
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
If we focused a little more on that, and I'm not saying this as a person that's like the cult of the new, because I love new games. I
Yes,
mean,
you do.
Galileo Galilei, so I'm not trying to, I'm trying to straddle the fence of that, I guess, of saying, look, both sides are right because both sides have great games. Don't alienate the other side.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that you're a person who you get a lot of review copies of new games. And coming along with that is there's an expectation and a requirement that you create content for that new game. So, but you also recognize, there's a reason why I love viticulture, and revisiting that love is just as
Yeah,
valid. Yeah.
yeah.
Ah,
Sometimes I talked about how I like to go to conventions and meet with publishers face to face, and I'm always, in the grind. And one of what I could do better personally, not the community necessarily, but me personally, is I need to learn, and we've talked about this off air a little bit. I need to learn even better how to say no sometimes,
mm,
which seems like such a foreign concept for someone who worked so hard just to get yeses. For me to turn around and now have to say no to some people, it is so difficult to do that. It is so difficult to do that. I remember being out of my mind ecstatic when the first few review copies rolled in and I was actually getting, you know, wow, a company thinks that I'm worth sending a new game to now having to turn around and go, I'm really sorry, but I have got a backlog of games to review. And again, I know first world problems, whang, you have too
sure.
many fun games to play. But at its base, it is still an issue if you have to learn how to say no in a way that doesn't make the publisher think that you're like, well, I'm so big now I don't have time for your silly little game. Like that's not it at all.
Right.
I would never think that of myself. I've told you this before. Like, I don't even like the term influencer because I think
Yeah.
it sounds arrogant. All of
It's,
my friends have to call me content creator. They can't call me influencer. It just sounds so arrogant to me. I don't know what it is.
I
I
know.
know
And
that's
I
so
can,
silly. That's so
I
silly.
can
But
confirm to everyone listening that every time that I see Jerry, and we usually see each other between 3 and 4 times a year, you always say that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's again, you can count on Jerry. He's genuine and honest. He really doesn't like to be called an influencer. I respect that. I respect that. The
Yeah.
reality might be different.
My family even tells me that. My wife is all of the time saying, "See, you're an influencer. See, you're an influencer." And I don't know what it is about the term. Like, there's nothing wrong with the term.
No,
Inherently, there's nothing wrong with the term. If you have the ability to put out content that makes people think, maybe I want to go try that game, then by purest definition, sure.
right.
But I don't know what it is, but for me, the last thing, one of the most important things for me as just a human being is for people not to think that I am somehow arrogant or
Yeah.
somehow think that I'm full of myself or think that I'm not approachable or any of those things. Like, just on a fundamental human level, for me, it's important for people not to think those things about me. And I
Yes.
try not, some people call it like false humility. If you're an influencer, you should just say you're an influencer. I struggle with that. It's a
I
struggle.
get that. I do understand that. And note that this is the content creator community series, right? Uh, I I don't know. I don't think I do. I think of everyone um, as content creators. Like when I think about you, when I think about everyone we've mentioned on the show, I don't think of them as influencers. You may be, you might be an influencer insofar as you've influenced me to buy a
Not use
game or try
influencer.
a game, or that too. But I think you're a content creator because you create content. And I think it's the intentionality that separates you from just a casual gamer, right? You're a gamer who takes a picture of a game to say, look what I played today. And yes, that's making content and therefore you're a content creator. But I really think it's the intentionality of the content that you create, whether it's short form or long form. And we've had this conversation. I've said it a lot on the show. I don't think I'm a content creator. I think of myself as a podcaster because the forms are different, the workload is different, but it's still content. I'm still a content creator.
It is. It definitely is.
And if I'm an
I mean,
influencer,
when I'm driving to Gen Con or driving to Origins and I've got to spend 7 or 8 hours in my car, I need some board game content, and it's
yes,
coming from BJ.
yeah. And and I will be perfectly honest, the few weeks leading up to Origins or Gen Con, when I'm recording an episode, I actually picture you in my mind's eye when I'm recording because
Sitting in the car listening.
I know Jerry's going to be driving to Columbus, driving to Indianapolis. He's going to be listening. And so I'm thinking about you driving in the car, listening, right? I think that's why I really enjoyed when Cassidy came on just before Gen Con. I'm sorry I don't know which episode that was, but you can definitely find it. We talked about a Tourette syndrome and all the triggers and going to a big convention. That was a great
Mhm.
episode. Just
She's such a fantastic person.
so good. You're a lucky
It would
man.
behoove me to speak highly of her because she
Yes.
was so kind in the way that she spoke about me. She is
Yes.
a wonderful person, though. She is,
You
I mean,
you are so lucky
just
to have her living nearby.
yeah. I
Yep.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. So Cassidy, shout out to you. We love you dearly. Keep listening and keep playing games. Um, yeah. So why don't you? I know you don't need to because we've talked about it, but why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on what? Let's see, Instagram and TikTok is where you are.
Mhm.
That's
I
where they
am.
can
I
find
actually
you.
do have a YouTube channel. I posted some shorts there.
Okay.
It if I ever get more involved, it'll probably, at least to begin with, be more and more shorts. I'm thankful to YouTube for creating that platform for people like me that don't really do a lot of long form video. But yes, I'm on Instagram. My handle, do you call it handles? I don't
Handle,
remember.
username, whatever.
Username, sure. At tabletop_worldwide. There is a little underscore between the two words, but yeah, at underscore tabletop worldwide. It is that exact same handle username on TikTok. It is the exact same one on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find me in any of those locations. You're probably going to get my best and brightest from Instagram, but we are trying to broaden our horizons. So
Broaden them, Jerry. Broaden
absolutely.
them. Well, Jerry, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you
Thank you.
again. It's been so many months. It's good to see you again. As always, guys, please hit the like and subscribe button and comment. I'm there. And as always, be kind to each other. And let's play more games.